Hello internet, my name is Lave and it's another London Film Festival film. This one is You Were Never Really Here, which is directed by Scottish director Lynne Ramsay, who also wrote the screenplay for this, which I believe is based on a book by Jonathan Ames. This one stars Joaquin Phoenix as Joe, a hard-as-nails investigator, private detective, gun for hire, who's hired to track down the missing daughter of a senator who has been kidnapped and sold into the child sex slave ring. Now, don't let this simple plot summary deceive you. There is much more to the eye, and I'm also very aware that this film hasn't been released yet, so I want to be very careful about not giving away any spoilers. What I will say though is that my experience of this film was interesting to say the least. I thought I had it pegged, I thought it was going in a clear direction, but then it throws a curveball and goes somewhere different. All in a really positive way, I might add. It's really fantastic, this film, and the more I think about it, the better it gets. I will also say that it is a character study focusing in on this character Joe, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who is brilliant, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets nominated come awards season. He's a seriously troubled man with deep-rooted psychological trauma, which you do find out more about as the film progresses, as he's going on his latest investigation through the use of flashbacks. It's done in a really good way, and I can't praise the director Lynne Ramsay enough. However, I was a little bit disappointed that she turned up to the screening of this and she introduced the film, and she was supposed to stay on for a Q&A, but it was very clear in her introduction that she was very nervous and she didn't want to be there. I totally get that. She wants to be behind the camera as opposed to in front of it. I'm just saying, they teased us with a Q&A and then she just didn't come back. But her directing and her writing is seriously top notch. In terms of dialogue, she's taken a minimalist approach. As I say, she uses flashbacks to gradually give you a bit more information about Joe. It hints at his military background and his traumatic childhood, heavily suggesting that his father used to beat him, and his mother, who he still lives with. It's an adorable relationship. But what I find really interesting about the whole flashback approach is that not all of them are flashbacks. I think some of them you really see the thought processes of this character Joe as he's going on his investigation. It's a very cerebral film in that sense, almost kind of dreamlike, which I can't really divulge into more because of spoilers, and I really don't want to spoil this one for you. So let's stick with Lynne Ramsay for now. Her direction is absolutely fabulous, along with her cinematographer. They really capture a gritty realism to the streets of Cincinnati. It's very atmospheric. The best way that I can describe it, it's like the perfect mix of Drive meets Nightcrawler, and both of those films are fantastic. So if you like elements from those films, you will definitely like this. Now, in terms of some negatives, I do have a few, but this one really came to my mind after I'd seen the film and I really thought about it, which involves a scene where the character Joe goes into this like hotel and he basically beats the crap out of everyone, but it's all shot through the eyes of the security cameras. I get that, it's a really kind of stylized way to get that across without actually seeing any of the violence, but in context to the rest of the film, it doesn't really fit in for me. It feels a bit out of place. As I say, at the time when I was watching, I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, but the more I think about it, I think that scene does feel a bit out of place. And I also have a feeling that this film might get criticised for being quite slow paced. I don't necessarily think that. I think it's very atmospheric, as I said. It builds up the suspension and the tension really well. But considering its very short runtime, I think it's about an hour and 20 minutes, maybe an hour and 25 with the credits. Some people might think that it started off life as maybe a short film, but then it's been overstretched into a feature film. As I say, I don't really think that's a criticism. I think it's really atmospheric and really engaging all of the way through. So to summarise, I think it's really well acted, it's really well directed, and it's a fascinating story, even though it comes across as being quite simple. I don't want to say too much more for spoilers, so I'm going to wrap things up and say that's my thoughts on You Were Never Really Here, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. This was easily the coolest film that I saw at the London Film Festival, and easily the most brutal as well. There's some really graphic images. Oh, it's pretty brutal in some scenes. However, I'm really itching to talk a bit more about this film, but I can't do that without going into spoilers. So this is your warning. I'm going to go into spoiler territory. Please don't watch it because I really don't want this film spoiled for you. So for now, like, share, sub, all that stuff. go away. So as I say, this film is a character study focusing in on this character Joe. Now what's really interesting, I mentioned the flashbacks, but you also see him piecing things together, and it becomes clear about halfway through this film that he actually might be an unreliable narrator. He's basically having a breakdown. It's absolutely nuts. So some of the images that you're seeing, you're like, wow, okay, is that really happening? Is this all based in reality? It's a good question. He literally does break down, and when this film finished, I sat back and thought, wow, this is actually a homage or the 21st century version of Taxi Driver via the way of American Psycho. Both fantastic films, and this, although it has similar elements, it's still an original film, and I absolutely loved it. And the more I think about it, the more I love it. So I'm actually going to move my enjoyment tracker up a little bit. As you can see from my enjoyment tracker, I thought, oh, this film is going in a clear direction, but then boom, something happens. It's like, whoa. And then with the ending as well, it's like, that is amazing. I absolutely loved it. So if you've hung around this long, hopefully that means you've seen the film. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. I personally loved it. The more I think about it, the more I love it. I can't wait to see this one again. I've also got some more film reviews from the London Film Festival coming up. I'm filming a lot of stuff back to back and editing them as quickly as I can, so keep an eye out for those. But as always, thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like, and don't forget to share the lave.